Hello and welcome back to another video where I'll be sharing my first impressions on Fatfreq's flagship IAM, the Grand Maestro, and also some of their other IAMs. But before I begin, if you haven't checked out my video on my conversation with Fatfreq and the team, I've left a link in the description or comment below and also a link to their website. Do check them out and give them your support as well. With that all said, let's talk about some Fatfreq IAMs. And I like to note that these are simply first impressions, not full-on experiences. So let's start with the Scarlet Mini. As confirmed by Ben from Fatfreq, this is not the Maestro Mini V2, although it won't stop people from calling it that. It has a punchy and meaty mid-bass. The mid-range is still clean, which carries the characteristics from the Maestro Mini, but I didn't have the time to make a full-on comparison with the Mini, so hopefully I'll be able to do that in the future. There's a good amount of treble, however I'm curious about its treble extension because the trumpets didn't sound as open or clear and the details didn't sound as distinct, like cymbal strikes, snares, again having somewhat similar characteristics as the Maestro Mini. Overall, meaty bass, weighty vocals, good highs. However, the sample I was listening to was still a prototype, and Fatfreq has confirmed that they will be making a few more iterations to this model prior to release. So I'm looking forward to what the changes will be on the Scarlet Mini. I feel with a little bit more treble extension, it'll elevate the detail level slightly, which should give this IEM that little push to being in the spotlight. But again, these are based off brief listening sessions only. It is scheduled to be released within these few months, and once it's officially released, I'll be sure to give you an update. The Sakuras. Switching from the Sakura from the Scarlet Mini, the sound just opened up. Vocals sounded open, clear, my trumpets, ooh la la, all that air. Imaging is just great on the Sakura, there's plenty of treble and it's sitting on the edge of being sharp, but for me it doesn't cross there. This is one of the popular models for musicians in Singapore and I can see why. It has enough in its sound to be used for work and for entertainment, especially with that bass switch at the top, but I feel the bass is nowhere near the levels of the Maestros. It's there for information, but I feel it doesn't hit deep enough to be engaging, at least for me personally. The Hayabusa. The Hayabusa simply takes the Sakura sound profile and cranks it up to the next level. Imaging is fantastic, details are sharp and distinct, but the treble is a little sharp for my ears personally. I can see this being used by live musicians, especially if they want those click sounds to cut through all that sound blasting on the live stage. And I personally feel the Hayabusa serves that purpose. I feel for musical enjoyment, I'd personally go with the Sakuras because it's already a detail and clarity beast, but if you have difficulty listening to the higher frequencies due to whatever reason, then the Hayabusa might be the one for you. The Grand Maestro. Of course, the creme de la creme, the flagship, the Grand Maestro. I was shaking with excitement on the inside when I saw this IM, but of course I had to play it cool in front of Fatfreq. It comes with a stock cable, or you can choose to upgrade to a gold-plated silver cable, but it'll set you back another 450 Singapore dollars. Ooh, that's a lot of money for a cable, but I know some may think it'll be worth it. In terms of outlook, they both have a shimmery look to their cable designs, which depending on how you like your cables, those shiny shimmery look may make or break the overall looks of your setup. But I'm glad they incorporated their logo into it as well, and I believe they come with interchangeable terminations. So if you've seen some Grand Maestro owners with a pink and white braided cable, note that that was a Can Jam special cable, so instead for general release, you receive the white shiny cable as stock. You also receive this leather case which has the Fatfreq logo on it, which is a great addition as that was one of my minor complaints for the MSE's package. Now at least it's going to feel like we're going to get something special from Fatfreq. Trying it on for the first time, the shells were about the same size as the Maestro SE, so if you had trouble fitting the Maestro SE into your ear, you might find trouble fitting the Grand Maestro as well. It has a switch at the top of the IEM, which Fatfreq is calling this the vocal switch, and you can use different modules which affects the sound sound profile of the Grand Maestro. Okay, you probably had enough of all that. You're here for sound, so let's talk about the sound on the Grand Maestro. Using the black module with the vocal switch on, the bass carries the same characteristics as the Maestro SE, but it's slightly reduced. So if you thought the Maestro SE's bass was too much, you might enjoy the Grand Maestro on the black module. Don't get me wrong, it's still deep, it's still punchy, but it's just not as powerful as the Maestro SE. However, what I've always wanted from the Maestro SE, which is a bit more treble and treble extension, Fatfreq gave it to the Grand Maestro. Details are more distinct, imaging is still fantastic, the vocals can be forward and a little recessed depending on whether you turn on the vocal switch. When the switch is off, it has a similar presentation to the Maestro SE where the background music is in the same plane as the vocals, but switching it on puts the vocals in the front and center because it actually pushes everything else towards the background, which is why the vocals become the focus. And you still hear all the background music, but it stays where they are, in the background. Having the switch off also makes the treble a little bit on the sharper side because all that bass isn't present to mask some of it. So I typically leave the switch on personally. So you can take these modules out and each module will set you back 130 Singapore dollars per module, but final confirmation will be relayed by Fatfreq themselves. So the Grand Maestro on the blue module sort of make it sound almost similar to the Hayabusa in its sound characteristics, in a way where the bass is now there only for information, which is now a different character to what is typically associated with a Maestro series IEM, but this allows the treble to be brought into focus, which is great for treble hits, and it turns the Grand Maestro into a detail and clarity beast. But similar to the Hayabusa, it's leaning towards sounding a little sharp for me, and personally I'd stick with the black module. There are news of 2 new modules coming soon, and one of those will have more bass than the Maestro SE, so I'm salivating for that release. Bass hits, get your wallets ready. Overall, the Grand Maestro lives up to its name and more. I expected something grand and boy did I get it. It's such a versatile IEM, especially with the switch and the tuning modules. I'm saving up now because I want these so badly. Anyway, that concludes my first impressions on some of Fatfreq's IEM. Which of these IEMs are you most excited to know more of? Comment below, let me know, and once again I'd like to thank Fatfreq for this amazing opportunity, and I hope to be able to listen to these in full and make a more comprehensive comparison. Until the next experience, take care and happy listening.